Good morning. This is November 2023, and today we're going to talk with Jim Ruoho about his remembrance of time growing up in Nipigon and a lot of Ruoho family history. And it covers a lot of different topics. And in front of Jim, I'm going to just show these and then we'll move them aside. So, Jim, give us information on these bottles here.
Well, when the dairy first started out, these bottles were filled. This is a half pint, and there is a larger one which is a quart. And they all look pretty well the same. And I'm not sure, I can't recall it, but in sometime in the late 50s, these came into service.
These were then disposable, though.
Yes, they were.
You had to throw them away
Yeah.
then, where these were reclaimed.
These are always replaced, not replaced, but redone. They were washed and recycled.
Okay. So those bottles would be given out and then collected again. So
Yes.
part of delivering would be to collect the empty bottles.
That's right.
Right. Okay, so these are very prized. A lot of people in Nipigon are always looking for Ruoho milk bottles. So it's that'll be an interesting part. But I just didn't want it to be in front of his face, Kirsten, so I'll just move them over there. Okay, so start out now how your parents came to live in Nipigon.
Well, my father was born in Nipigon. And there's a story goes that one of the children, I don't know if it was my father or one of my uncles, was actually born on Cameron Falls Road. But I'm not certain as to which one it was, but all of three of the boys, my two uncles, my father, were all born in Nipigon.
And their names?
My father was Oliver, or Olavi, and the next, who was the oldest son, then Arvo was the second oldest, and Eno was the youngest. And they all at one time in their lives dealt with the workings of the farm and with the dairy. When my father was first married, he and my mother were deliverers, and the other two brothers were still working with the farm. But my parents delivered milk to Red Rock. There was a prison farm there. They provided milk for the prison farm, and it was delivered around Nipigon as well.
So explain to people exactly where the farm was.
The farm,
in relation even to today.
with relation today, the Nipigon Red Rock golf course is right on the property that was owned by my grandfather, and until it was sold to the golf course in 1960.
He owned quite a piece of property. I did see an old photo taken by Everett of the whole area there.
Yes, he owned, I think it was close to 360 acres.
Do you think,
On
Jim,
both sides of it was on both sides of the road. Yes.
Do you think when he bought that it was already cleared?
That I don't think so,
Okay.
but I'm not sure. But I know that they cut a lot of cedar timber out of there, and they built 3 or 4 homes with these things,
Okay.
with these 6x6 timbers. My dad had built a garage out of it, and then still standing just off in the back lane of 8th Street. And there was, so I don't really know
Okay.
what it was. For some reason, they were very tight-lipped about their early days. You know,
Right.
I don't know if they worked so hard that they didn't want to talk about it or what it was. But
So go back to the road. the golf course road at one time was the highway, right?
It was, I understand that it was the main highway to get from Nipigon to going west.
Right.
Or
Right. Came around through. So many people who travel on the golf course road now are traveling on some of the old highway.
very old highway.
Very old highway, right. Okay. And it came out for those people who haven't lived here a long time, where that meets the highway now, we always called Suicide Hill. And
That's
that's
right.
where it turned off and went to the golf course. Right. Okay. So what else did you, what else was on your farm? Obviously you have the cows.
There's cows, there's chickens, pigs, and horses. That's and of course calves and whatnot. But
Right.
When the farm was going, I think there was like maybe 24 cows. That's all it was. And then you had to get milk from all the other farmers around to come in to help to meet their quotas that they do.
Right. So I didn't even realize there's other milk farms around.
Oh, there were. There were some farmers. The milk was gathered from some farmers in Dorian.
Okay.
Along Ingots from Red Rock, they had a farm and milk was gotten from there. And there was another one on Red Rock Road, and can't remember what the name of it was, but there was milk gathered from there.
Okay.
Not consistently, but whenever they had extra milk to bring in.
Cool. Right. So then, tell us about when it changed. You said after so many years, then it changed.
Well, I think the dairy, I guess, started early in the 1900s. I can't remember exactly what date, but I know they stopped delivering milk in 1947, I believe it was, and they still had the cows to be milked and everything, so they would send their milk to I don't know if it was a dairy or just to Scriber, where it was distributed from there. And that went on for several years before the dairies started up. And that was, the main reason for that shutting down was, I guess it was pasteurization was coming into play. So they had to get that all set up. And once that was set up, they started selling or delivering milk again. But my father had left. He had gone in 47. He had left the farming business, and he had moved into Nipigon, and that's when I was introduced to Nipigon.
Okay.
I was 3 or 4 years old at the time.
So where did you live when you moved into Nipigon?
We moved right into a home which was very popular. I guess there were 3 homes built the same, all on 8th Street, and each of the brothers got a home.
They built them themselves?
I don't know if they were built themselves or they had my grandfather had them built for them.
But the design was the same?
The same design. You could walk into one house, you knew exactly where everything was because they were all the same.
Right. So which one was your family?
Our family was the first one coming from the
Railway.
highway up, going up on
Okay.
first house. Then there was oldest, next oldest, and youngest who went up the hill. So my father, then Arvo, then Eno.
Right. I just
the
know they
homes.
were always known as the Ruoho houses, that's
Yes.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. So the house was already ready then when your dad moved into there.
It was, yes, when we moved in, it was ready.
And then your dad, you were commenting about him building the building behind there.
Yes, he built that several years earlier. It was maybe 3 years before he had that built. He had a little shack in the back there that he had used to hold stuff, but it wasn't big enough for all of what he needed, so he built this other huge garage.
That would come from out at the farm?
All the siding came, the walls and everything else put in there, 6x6 timbers from the
Right.
farm. Yeah.
Right, right. And you said it's still there?
It's still there, yeah. My brother-in-law owns that now, and he has it built for himself. He has quite a little workshop in there.
Ah, okay. Those kind of buildings stood a long time because there's a few of them around town.
Yeah, they
that you
did.
can see like that, for sure. Okay, so now your dad moved into town, so obviously he was not involved in the milk anymore.
No.
And tell us then how he changed his career.
Well, he was mechanically minded, from what I understand, from a young age. He used to do things. He had made even a half-ton truck out of an old car that he had. It was sitting in the backyard. I wish I would have sort of kept that, because it was sitting behind 8th Street in the back, and this was way before even 9th Street was not even built yet. So it was quite a little achievement, and he was very happy. I rode in it. I drove around in it. I never drove in it, but I mean, rode around in it. And but one day it was sitting in a yard, and David Nuttall thought it was nice to come into, and he got in it and he started rolling down the hill, and he let it go. It went down the hill, across to 8th Street, down 8th Street, and at that time the main highway was right out, running out in front of the
Which is Railway Street
which
today.
is Railway Street. That used to be the number of Highway 17. And crossed the highway and into the ditch. We came home from where we were. I don't know where it was, and there we saw the old truck that was in the ditch there. But no one got hurt, and just a few dents into the vehicle. And
So David confessed to doing it?
I can't remember who it is, but I don't know if he was confessed or it was
Seen.
spread around, and everyone said who did it. So
Yeah, well, I just remember your dad always having machinery
all the time.
all the time, yeah.
That was a great learning curve for myself. I got to run a lot of equipment, do a lot of things, and I guess his biggest thing that he built that first breakwater that was down to curb the water flow of the
Right.
river.
And just to cut in, I'm going to take some photos later and get them put into the video that you can actually see the truck out on the rocks.
Yeah.
And just think, Jim, how controversial that little breakwater has been in the last 20 years.
Yeah, well, it was my dad had built it up, and a second time he had added to it a little. In I guess it was 1965 or 66, something like that. And then I guess the township decided that was not good to have that there, so they demolished a lot of it, which turned out to be not too good of an idea. So it was rebuilt, and it was partially redone again,
Right.
not by my dad, but by whoever it was.
David Thompson.
David Thompson did it,
Right.
okay.
But just think of the people. When I came here, that was a treat to walk all the way across there
Yeah.
to that
The
little
little Pie
island.
Island, I think it's called.
Pancake
Yes.
Island or something. I can remember even my mom and dad walking all the way over there
Oh,
on
yeah.
those rocks. Yeah, it was
You
quite
can't
a
do it now.
popular little hike. Yeah, for sure. So it'd be interesting whether it was the logging people who thought it should be built, because then it kept the logs out of the marina area.
I think what it was, they figured it was creating too much silt into the docks, and the fishing boats that pulled into the docks then was we were having trouble in
Okay.
maneuvering. I think that's what it.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay.
But,
And so the same thing happened this time when they took it away. It ended up creating too big of a current
Well,
in through there, and so they
maybe it was a different thing. It was in current
Yeah.
now, but then.
different built. Yeah, for sure.
But
So your dad had trucks.
he had trucks, bulldozers, cranes. And okay, no. He was actually, when you think and look at it, that James McCullough, I mean not McCullough, but
James Nichols.
Nichols rather, now has a much larger operation than my
Right.
dad ever had.
Right.
So
But your dad had his little place down the landing road.
yes, he had where James now has a big gravel pit.
Right.
Part of it, I think James he actually ended up purchasing that. Not from my dad, but I think it was sold to Jerry
Blakely?
and I think Jerry did sell it, but I don't know if James actually uses it, but he's very close to it where it was.
Right.
So he had access to all kinds of stuff, and he had a lot of guys used to work with him. And they got jobs. They had Lino Gregnall was there. Lloyd Gordon
Right.
would help. They all had trucks, and they all sort of were little groups that always seemed to be
Right.
working with one another.
So I live on Greenmantle Drive, and it's totally made by Ole. I've got pictures of his old machinery stuck in the mud and the clay there, but he did that
Well,
whole area.
I don't know if he did the whole area.
Well, he created the road, I'll tell you.
He created a road, and he dug a lot of the basements.
Yes, yes.
Now, I don't know if he dug all of the basements, but I know he did a lot of them.
And at one time, that's the way there was a trail across to the Mattis Road, because he went through the bush and over the bald spot area and came down into Greenmantle Drive with his machinery.
Well,
so.
that I don't know.
I just
but
know he had all
I know
kinds of machinery.
I know the road is there, and I remember one time when I was younger that we used to go visiting out there off of Mattis Road and down where Kylanders
Right.
live. And if you drive down Kylanders to where their farm was, it's almost over into the river anyway.
Yes,
It's close.
Yes.
And we would go visit, and he would go with his tractor. We never had a car at that time. This is before 1952. So we would, my mother and myself and my dad would go in a bulldozer, would go down the road just to go see him. I think I probably had something to do down there in his yard or something, plow something or whatever.
Right.
But that's the way we used to travel. We used to go with the truck or the bulldozer, and it was an adventure most times anyway. But
Right. Couldn't do it today. Anyway, we'll pause while she resets the. Just for a change of pace there, talk about some of the young people you grew up with, because obviously you went all through your school system in Nipigon.
that's right.
And can you remember, like, when you first came to school here? Because you said you lived
Well,
at the farm a long time.
It made it was a little different because my first language was Finnish. Because everyone that I knew was Finn. And when we moved into Nipigon from being out on a farm, that I didn't know any English, and it came to that if I wanted to do anything, I found it kind of awkward because no one knew how to speak Finn. So I would get along, and I really noticed I shouldn't say I really noticed, but I surmise, because I remember things that when I went to school, I still was quite fluent in Finn, and I have found it very difficult to read, and it was.
Any memory of who your teachers were, Jim?
I don't.
Okay.
I know my fourth grade teacher was Miss Monkman, and Mrs. Shalander was my grade third teacher.
So did she speak Finn, I wonder?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Her husband did.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I'm not sure. I somehow doubt it because I don't think Sally or Elsa spoke any Finnish.
Right.
But anyway. But well, I struggled learning how to read, and I wish now that I would have done more because I don't read very much, and when I do read, it takes me a long time to do any reading. I remember once I was going to university, I had got a book that I wanted to read was about cars and whatnot. It took me a month to read this paperback book, and I would read a little bit every night. Anyway, I would start reading, fall asleep, and that was it. It was gone, you know, and I struggled through school because it took me such a long time to get the hang of what I was supposed to be doing. However,
did you ever read in Finn?
well, my grandmother tried to teach me, but I was struggling with that too.
Okay.
So,
okay. You spoke Finn well, but did not read it.
well, I'm assuming I did, but I have forgotten so much now that I know the odd word, but I couldn't carry on too big of a conversation, I don't think, in Finnish anymore.
Okay. You're bilingual. Anyway, Jim. So talk about some of the friends you had, because we were saying before you got names that people would recognize.
Yeah, well, I guess everyone would know Albert Brennan. Albert Brennan and I were very tight when we were in public school. We delivered papers together. We fished together. We camped together. We did a lot of things, and unfortunately, that closeness sort of faded away when he went his way and with the businesses, and I went to school. So, but we still occasionally talk to one another and wave at each other, at least, or something. But I think there's a lot of people that we used to get together. Diana Salon and Elsa Shalander, and George Dean, myself. We were all into track and field events, and so we used to go to track and field camps and whatnot, and we got to know each other fairly well.
Because you had mentioned too, I remember the Legion sponsored camps,
Legion sponsored us, yes,
camps,
that's right.
Yes.
And one year, the four of us that I just mentioned were honored by the Legion, and we even excuse me, but I get a little emotional when I think about this, but we were honored, I say, by the Legion, and they were invited our parents to attend, and that was, but the only time that I remember that my parents attended something, that was because of me.
Oh, okay. Oh, I remember a lot of people went to the Legion camps over the years. George Dean, I remember for sure too. But I even think that they sponsored them in later years because my kids went to a Legion camp one time.
Yeah,
So
well, George
it
and
was-
I were invited to go to Winnipeg,
Right.
and for one reason or another, we couldn't attend. We had
Okay.
other commitments, but
Yeah, and those kind of things stay with you, though.
yeah.
Because they were unique to that, for sure. But no, it's too bad we haven't got a photo there of some of those other people that were in the picture.
Well, you know, and Nipigon was such a place that everybody was your friend.
Right.
You know, you could go in to do something. You didn't have to go and be with them and everything else. But if you saw them out in the yard, you could go and check and create something. You know, people like David Nuttall and Bruce Stevens, Brian Wrighton and Tarmo Ronkainen, and
Right.
we all played with Diane Salonen, played touch football. She was a great
Yeah,
player.
she was a great athlete, that's for sure. Yeah.
And it was Nipigon growing up as a kid was absolutely wonderful. It was, I would think, next to none in a lot of our minds, because we could do anything, and not do anything, but we could always have someone to do something with. You never seemed to be having a dull moment.
Right.
There's always something going on, and there was all kinds of things. We used to do, go downtown. Downtown was very full. It was like right now. It's very,
Right.
deserted. I mean, I considered Nipigon my home from 1947 to 1965.
Right.
That's a long time, It's, and now I come back here, and I mean, I used to, come back, and it was just for a quick visit and go out. But I would come back and stay the summers a lot, because I was working with my dad,
Right.
doing
Right.
things. My dad, who was a great believer in experience is your best teacher.
Right. Right.
So, he'd say, go and do this, and this is what stay, just watch, don't run over anything. And
But as a
Yeah.
teacher, I know hands-on, Jim,
Yeah.
is the answer to everything. You mentioned the Plaza Theater.
yes, well, my father, in his wisdom or whatever it was, bought a share in the theater. He and Eno both had a share. Or Eno had two, and he bought one of Eno's shares, or something like that. Anyway, and I took advantage of that situation because our whole family could go to the movies for free.
Oh.
And I think what happened was with me, I took that as a way to learn the language or learn different things. And I think I must have seen 90% of all the movies that came to town. I was there at the theater. Every time a new movie came in, I was there. And I actually became very good friends with the owner's son, and he and I went to university in North Dakota together.
Okay.
But the his son was Dave Vickrick.
Oh yeah, Vic. Right. I remember that name. Right.
But again, I sort of substituted reading by going to the movies.
Right.
So
Well,
I spent all my time and this is went on long before television. I forget when we finally got TV up here.
but in hindsight, you hear people on TV say, "I learned my language by watching TV." You learned some of it by watching movies,
Well,
which was prior to that time.
I don't know.
Good way to do it,
It's-
that's for sure. Yeah. So overall, when you moved into town, your dad was busy with his machinery and his business. What do you think your mom was busy doing?
Looking after me.
I don't know. I didn't know if she ever worked or.
Not, no, well, I have a brother and a sister.
And you better
My
name
brother is Larry and my sister Wendy, who's now Wendy Ronaldson, still lives here.
it. Right.
A lot of people probably in Nipigon know her. My brother is Larry, who lives in Brantford.
Okay.
And he's retired there now. He's busy in all kinds of sports, golfing and curling and whatnot.
I just can't remember your mom working anywhere, but I don't know. Maybe
she did. I had already left, and Larry had already left, and Wendy was at home still. And she worked. She was a housekeeper for the hotels.
Oh, okay.
Vacation Land, I think, was one, and the other one that's just before the turnoff, where you go up the highway. I don't forget what
Nipigon
name of it is.
Nipigon River Motel?
No,
Oh.
not the river.
Oh. I don't know. I don't even know all the Northland?
It's the Northland. That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I just didn't remember her. I remember
No,
being very active around
She
town.
was. She looked after them when people went on vacation, and she was, I guess, a cleaner and
Okay.
whatnot, made beds and things.
Right. Okay.
She did that for, I don't know for how many years, but
Ooh.
we. But anyway, I have now decided that maybe Thunder Bay is not the place to be living in the future, and looking for places to maybe stay and live in
Right.
Nipigon.
Right. Oh, so that would be nice then if you come full circle
Well,
to move back
basically,
here, and then you could play golf at the farm.
yeah,
Have you played golf out there?
I have been out there a few times,
Yeah.
not as much, but
It'd be interesting. Anyway. Okay.
my brother-in-law Scott Ronaldson
Oh, yes.
is very involved with the golf course out there
Right. And the curling club.
and the curling club.
Right. So there you are. You'll be,
So I'm curling and golf are two of my sports that I still participate in. And that's one thing about Nipigon. No, everybody, all the guys, pretty well. I would think 80% of them anyway. All played hockey. We all went to school, and so you always could be with everybody at all the time.
right.
One thing that was a bit of a change is when the separate school opened up. A lot of the kids that you knew went to the separate school
Right. Right.
and made the classes a little smaller, but
Right.
it was a bit of a good thing because it made up some I don't know, so bit of rivalries set
Right.
up between the two schools,
Right.
and
Right.
so we that helped.
Right.
But what I remember, growing up in Nipigon was very, very interesting because there was something new almost every day. For me, anyway. You're always learning something, doing something. Used to help my uncles every once in a while deliver milk.
Right. Well, Ruoho
was-
Dairy was around for a long time.
It was around, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, that good then, Kirsten. So Jim, maybe mention specifically some of the things that you would have done as a young person in Nipigon.
Well, it was almost anything you wanted to do. We would, of course, ride bicycles, do this, walk around. We would go skiing, go tobogganing.
Where did you go ski? Where
We
did you
skied
go?
across the river at the big ski hill.
Oh.
There was a few of us who were diehards to do there. Tarmarunk on it, who is a very good skier.
Right.
And my cousin Arnold, Donnie Honula, Alan Honula,
Right.
and Pat Dwyer
Right.
was out there, and Leif Hansen
Right. Right.
was whose father was the baker.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So when you said tobogganing now,
we would
just on the hill,
we would toboggan on the streets.
on the streets.
It was when they were building 9th Street. That became a very
Oh.
good toboggan run, sleigh run, and a ski run. But you had to just watch you didn't get out into the highway.
Yeah, but that's a steep hill to come down on skis.
Well, when I first started skiing, it was with cross-country skis, so there's no straps or nothing, just to go on and away. But anyway,
So did you play hockey?
I played hockey, yes, for out through the Pee Wee area, right up until the junior area.
Oh, okay. So there again, you got another whole group of friends because of hockey. Not
Well,
just school.
they were basically all friends at the beginning.
Anyway, right.
Billy Johnson, Albert Brennan, and Pat Dwyer, Gordy Winfield. What do we call him? Tidio,
Oh yeah, Francis.
Francis,
Yeah.
and we were all,
And Roland then grew up near you too because
Roland
he was
just-
on the corner.
Roland grew up around me just from across the street. Now,
Right.
he stuck around. He's taught here. He knows more people here than I do.
Right. And
That's-
so we're sitting in a place that's Roland's fond of because he was one of the people who started the museum.
I was Roland's best man at his wedding.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, there we are. So lots of them are still around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, I didn't remember about even fishing. I forgot that, of course, I've heard that story. Lots of young people spend time at the marina and in the lagoon because of the fishing.
Yes, I spent a lot of time down there. Whenever there's nothing else to do, you went fishing.
Right.
We used to go pick dew worms and everything else at night. And
So, Faye just commented on Teen Town. Just give us a little bit about Teen Towns because I didn't realize it was in both towns.
well, teen towns were just organized. Each town organized their own, but because most of them, us were going to high school together, it was easy to go to set up, and they were both run, I guess, both the same way. And every once in a while, they would have live music. Even if most of the time, it was all recorded music. But it was very popular. It was very well attended.
Where did they hold it?
The Teen Town dances were held in the auditorium at the public school.
Okay.
And in Red Rock, they were in a teen room, which is just off the cafeteria.
Right.
There.
Weight room now, is it?
I don't know what it is now.
Okay. I know where you mean. Okay. Beside the bowling alley.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have to pay to go to Teen Town? Or can you remember?
You know what? I don't remember. I don't think so. It was just
it's
show
a
up
free-
and
okay. Organized by somebody at the school?
by it wasn't organized necessarily by the school. It was the teen town was Red Rock Teen Town and Red Nipigon Teen Town, and there
okay.
was an executive to each.
Oh, okay,
So they
okay,
this built down and.
okay. I know they've tried those things later on, they just didn't fly, but I remember now, Cookie used to talk about teen towns lots, I remember too, so it was, that's for sure a good social way to
It was
together.
Like that. We did things that it was very, very good. I mean, things changed a lot once the high school opened up in Red Rock. That's what made a big change, because there was such mingling between the kids
Right.
that everybody sort of knew everybody. And then we were all high school students together. So
But that just reminds me now, Nipigon had the high school in the basement. Where did Red Rock have high school?
I don't think they did.
Oh, they didn't. Okay. Red Rock people came here. Oh, see, I didn't even realize that. Okay, until they
They
built
got bussed
there.
over here, yeah.
Right.
And it was in the basement of the public school.
Right, right.
So it was, 1956, I guess, 58.
59, they built
Or,
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever.
Okay, so
they
I'd
built
forgotten that I didn't even question where they came from then. I forgot about that.
Well,
so.
there was a lot of kids also coming from Cameron Falls,
All right,
but
Right.
And they went to. I guess they had a school in Cameron Falls.
they did, yeah.
I'm not too sure, but
yes, they did.
I mean, we got to meet a lot of them. I know they were, when Cameron Falls shut down, a lot of them had to move, but
Right, right,
some of them were still in high school.
right.
So
Oh yeah, the school scene is a little bit different, and you forget how things changed
Yeah.
there too. Right, right. Okay, Kirsten, thank you very much, Jim. Lots of little information there.